There's something you need to understand about why this video found you right now. You've been chasing, not just goals or dreams or success. You've been chasing the feeling you think those things will give you. And every time you get close, every time you almost reach it, it moves. The goalpost shifts. The satisfaction you expected doesn't arrive, and you're left standing there wondering why nothing ever feels like enough. Why every achievement comes with an expiration date on the joy it brings. Why you're constantly hungry for the next thing before you've even digested the last. And somewhere deep inside, you're starting to suspect that maybe the problem isn't what you're chasing. Maybe it's the chasing itself. Maybe it's the expectation that getting what you want will finally make you feel the way you think you're supposed to feel. And that realization, that uncomfortable suspicion that's been growing louder lately, that's why this message had to find you. Because you're ready to hear something that will either free you or terrify you. When you expect nothing, you gain everything. Not eventually, not as a reward for detachment. Right now, the moment you release the grip, let me show you what's really happening. Every time you do something, anything, your mind is running a calculation. If I do this, I'll get that. If I show up this way, people will respond that way. If I work this hard, I'll deserve this outcome. And on the surface, that seems logical. That seems like how life should work. Effort equals reward. Input equals output. Cause and effect. But here's the part nobody tells you. That equation is a prison. Because the moment you attach your actions to expected outcomes, you stop living and start performing. You stop expressing and start transacting. Every conversation becomes a negotiation. Every relationship becomes conditional. Every dream becomes a contract you're desperately trying to enforce with a universe that never signed it. And the worst part, you don't even realize you're doing it. You think you're just being ambitious, just being driven, just wanting things to work out. But underneath that, you're holding your own happiness hostage to circumstances you can't control. And that's exhausting. That's why you're tired. Not from the work, from the constant monitoring of whether the work is paying off in the exact way you decided it should. Here's what expectation actually does to you. It turns gifts into debts. Think about the last time someone did something kind for you without you asking. How did it feel? Probably amazing, pure, a moment of genuine connection. Now think about a time when you did something for someone and they didn't respond the way you expected, didn't thank you enough, didn't reciprocate, didn't even acknowledge it. How did that feel? Like you got robbed, right? Like you gave something and they took it without paying the price you had in mind. But here's the question that changes everything. If you were truly giving, if it was actually a gift, why would their response matter? Why would their reaction determine whether the act itself had value? The answer is uncomfortable, because it wasn't a gift. It was an investment. You were expecting a return. And when the return didn't match the investment, you felt cheated. But who cheated you? They didn't know the terms of the contract. You created those terms silently in your own mind, projected them onto the interaction, and then felt betrayed when reality didn't read the script you wrote for it. And this pattern, this unconscious transactional approach to life, it's not just affecting your relationships with other people. It's poisoning your relationship with yourself. You wake up and decide that if you meditate today, you should feel peaceful tomorrow. If you work out this week, you should see results by next week. If you're kind and patient and doing all the right things, life should reward you with ease and success and validation. But it doesn't work that way. Life doesn't owe you anything. Not because it's cruel, but because the entire framework of owing and deserving is something your mind invented to feel safe, to feel in control, to believe that if you just follow the right formula, you can guarantee the outcome. But you can't. You never could. And the moment you accept that, the moment you truly let go of expecting life to pay you back for showing up, something shifts. You stop keeping score. You stop waiting for your efforts to be validated by results. And you start experiencing something you forgot was possible. The actual moment. And not as a means to an end, but as the thing itself. Let's talk about what this looks like in practice, because I know this sounds abstract. I know it sounds like spiritual bypassing or some detached monk philosophy that doesn't apply to real life with real bills and real problems. But it's not. It's the most practical thing you can do. Let me give you an example. You're working on something you care about, a project, a skill, a creative pursuit, whatever. And every time you work on it, you're checking, am I good enough yet? Will this impress people? Is this leading somewhere? Those questions aren't motivation. They're contamination. They're turning the act of creation into an audition, into a plea for external validation. And the work suffers because of it. Not because you're not talented, but because you're not present. You're so focused on where the work should take you that you're not actually in the work. You're hovering above it, judging it, comparing it, worrying about it. And that's not creating. That's performing for an imaginary audience that probably isn't even watching. Now imagine doing the same work with zero expectation, not zero care, zero expectation. You show up, you engage, you give it everything, but you're not asking it to make you feel a certain way. You're not demanding it lead to a specific outcome. You're just in it, fully, completely. And something miraculous happens. The work gets better. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're trying less. You're not editing yourself in real time. You're not second guessing every choice. You're just expressing. And expression without expectation is the purest form of being alive. It's what you did as a kid before anyone told you that what you made had to be good or useful or impressive. You just did it because doing it felt right. And somewhere along the way, you forgot that that's still allowed, that you can still create, love, work, and play, exist without needing it to earn you something. You can just be. And being is enough. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because if you stop expecting outcomes, if you stop tying your worth to results, what do you have left? Who are you if not the sum of your achievements? What's the point of trying if you're not trying to get somewhere? And that question, that panic that rises when you consider letting go, that's the ego thrashing. Because the ego needs the story. It needs the identity of someone who's climbing, achieving, becoming. Without that narrative, it feels like death, like you're giving up, like you're settling. But that's the lie. You're not giving up. You're waking up. You're realizing that the person you've been trying to become is just another prison. Another set of expectations you're failing to meet. Another version of yourself that's always just out of reach, keeping you in a constant state of not enough. And when you let that go, when you stop trying to become and start allowing yourself to just be, you don't lose yourself. You find yourself, the version that was always there underneath the performance. Here's what the law of detachment actually means. It's not about not caring It's about caring so much that you refuse to let outcomes dictate whether the caring was worth it. It's loving without needing to be loved back. It's creating without needing applause. It's showing up without needing credit. It's giving your energy to the world, not as a transaction, but as an expression of who you are. And when you live like that, when you detach from the need for specific returns on your investments of time, energy, love, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly starts giving you what you want, but because you stop needing the world to cooperate for you to feel whole. You stop outsourcing your peace to circumstances. You stop making your happiness conditional on things you can't control. And in that space, in that freedom from expectation, you become available to receive what life is actually offering instead of being blinded by what you decided it should offer. And here's the paradox nobody warned you about. The moment you stop chasing, things start arriving. Not because the universe rewards detachment, but because you're finally paying attention. When you're obsessed with a specific outcome, you have tunnel vision. You're so focused on the one door you decided should open that you miss the 20 other doors that are already unlocked. But when you release the expectation, when you open your hands and stop gripping so tightly, you become aware of what's actually here. The opportunities you've been too distracted to notice. The connections you've been too busy to nurture. The joy that's been available in the present moment while you've been projecting it into some imaginary future where you finally have enough. This is what expecting nothing actually gives you. Everything. Not as a reward, but as reality. Everything is already here. You just couldn't see it because you were too busy looking for something else. Now let's address the fear. Because I know what you're thinking. If I stop expecting things, if I stop pushing for outcomes, won't I just become passive? Won't I stop trying? Won't I settle for less than I'm capable of? And that's the mind's clever trick. It equates expectation with ambition, attachment with motivation. But they're not the same. You can have drive without demand. You can have goals without gripping. You can work towards something without making your worth dependent on whether you get there. The difference is subtle, but everything. Ambition says, I'm going to give this my all and see what happens. Expectation says, I'm going to give this my all and it better result in X or I'm not enough. One is expansive, the other is a cage. One allows for surprise, growth, detours, discovery. The other demands compliance from a universe that doesn't negotiate. And when you operate from ambition without expectation, you work harder. Not because you're trying to prove something, but because you're actually enjoying the process. You're in flow. You're present. You're creating from fullness instead of trying to create your way into fullness. So here's the practice. And it is a practice. It's not a one-time realization. It's a daily, hourly, moment-by-moment choice to release the grip. Find one thing in your life, just one, something you do regularly, and do it with zero expectation of return. Not zero effort, zero expectation. If it's exercise, don't do it to look a certain way or feel a certain way tomorrow. Just move. Feel your body. Be present with the movement. If it's creative work, don't create for an audience or for validation. Create, because the act of creating is the thing itself. If it's a relationship, don't show up expecting them to respond in a specific way. Just show up fully as yourself and notice what happens. Not immediately, not dramatically, but slowly, you'll start to feel lighter, less burdened, less like you're constantly auditioning for your own life. And that lightness, that freedom, that's what you've been chasing all along. Not the outcome, the absence of needing one. And here's what nobody tells you about this path. It doesn't make you care less. It makes you care more. Because when you're not protecting yourself from disappointment by pre-calculating every interaction, when you're not holding back parts of yourself in case the investment doesn't pay off, you show up fully, vulnerably, authentically. And that fullness, that presence, that's magnetic. Not because you're trying to attract anything, but because presence is rare. Most people are so caught up in expectations, so busy managing outcomes, so terrified of not getting what they think they need, that they're never actually here. They're always negotiating with a future that doesn't exist yet, or resenting a past that didn't go as planned. But you, when you release expectation, you get to be here now, fully alive, fully engaged, and people feel that. Opportunities respond to that. Life meets you there, not because you earned it, but because you finally stopped demanding it. Let me tell you what changes when you practice this. Your relationships transform because you're no longer keeping score. You're no longer tracking who called last, who gave more, who's not meeting your needs. You just show up, you love, you express. And if people can't receive that, if they're not in a place to match that energy, you don't take it personally. You don't make it mean something about your worth. You just notice and you adjust without resentment, without making them wrong, without making yourself wrong. You just recognize that not every exchange has to be balanced in the moment for it to have value. Sometimes you give more, sometimes they give more. And if you're not keeping score, none of that matters. What matters is that you're expressing who you are without needing them to be who you want them to be. And that's freedom. For both of you, your work transforms because you're no longer working to prove something. You're working to express something. An expression without expectation is art. It's play. It's the thing you were born to do before anyone told you it had to earn you a living or a reputation or respect. You just do it because not doing it would feel like holding your breath. And when you work from that place, from that overflow, instead of that desperate grasping, the quality changes, the energy changes. You're not trying to be good. You're just being honest. And honest work that comes from presence instead of pressure, that's the work that resonates. That's the work that stands out, not because you were trying to stand out, but because you were willing to stand in yourself without needing external validation to confirm you should. Your sense of self transforms because you're no longer defined by outcomes. You're no longer building your identity on the shaky foundation of achievements that can be taken away, relationships that can end, circumstances that can change. You're rooted in something deeper, the part of you that exists regardless of what you do or don't accomplish, the part that has value just because you're here, just because you're breathing, just because you're a conscious being capable of experiencing this moment. And when you root yourself there, when you stop needing life to go a certain way for you to be okay, you become unshakable. Not because nothing affects you, but because nothing defines you. You can lose the job, the relationship, the dream, and you're still here, still whole, still worthy. Still capable of showing up tomorrow and giving it everything without needing tomorrow to give you anything back. Now, if this is resonating, if you're feeling that recognition, that quiet knowing that this is what you've been missing, I want you to do something. Go to the comments and type 4 words. I release the grip. That's it. No explanation. Just those 4 words. Because when you declare it, when you name it publicly, it stops being a private thought and becomes a commitment. It tells your nervous system that you're done negotiating with reality, that you're ready to be here, fully, without conditions. And if you know someone who's exhausted from chasing, from expecting, from keeping score, share this with them. Ask them to write it too. I release the grip, because sometimes we need permission to stop trying so hard, to stop making everything mean something about our worth. This is that permission. If you want more of these conversations, subscribe. And if supporting through Super Thanks feels right, it helps me invest in better production, so these messages reach you with the clarity they deserve. Either way, you being here matters. The truth is, you've been carrying weight that was never yours to carry. The weight of needing life to validate you. The weight of demanding outcomes to justify your efforts. The weight of making every moment prove something instead of just being the moment. And that weight, that constant monitoring, that endless calculation of whether you're getting what you deserve, it's been stealing your life. Not the outcomes, the expectation of them. And when you release that, when you truly let go of needing anything in return for your presence, your effort, your love, you don't lose anything. You gain everything. Everything that was always here, but you couldn't see because you were too busy looking for something else. Everything that's available in this moment, but you couldn't receive because your hands were full of expectations. Everything that life wants to give you, but can't because you keep telling it exactly how it should arrive. Listen, you've been wearing a mask so long you forgot it wasn't your face. The mask of someone who has to earn love, who has to deserve peace, who has to prove they're worthy of existing. And I'm here to tell you that you can take it off now. Not because you've finally done enough, but because you never needed to do anything in the first place. Stop performing. Stop keeping score. Stop making every breath conditional on whether it earns you something. Just be messy, imperfect, beautifully human. Show up as you are without needing the world to confirm you should. Give without your hand extended. Create without needing applause. Love without calculating return. And in that release, in that terrifying, liberating moment when you finally let go of expecting life to pay you back, you'll discover what you've been chasing all along. Not the outcomes, not the validation, just the freedom to be yourself without apology. You are enough right now, in this breath, in this exact version of yourself that doesn't need to become anything else to be worthy of everything. You always were. You just forgot while you were busy trying to earn what was already yours. This video must find you to remind you that peace isn't something you achieve. It's something you allow. So release the grip, expect nothing, and finally receive everything that's been waiting for you on the other side, and finally be free.